Watercolor with Kendra. Today we are going to do our little veggie cart. So I've gotten a lot of requests for this veggie cart. It's so cute. I love all of the little veggies and fruits that you can use in here. And now there is a technique with this, which I'm going to show you. There's a lot of masking to be done in this, but I think the result is really, really cute. So let's go ahead and get started. I love this project, so I hope you do too. Okay, first things first, the sets we're going to use are the Watercolor Series 3, set 1 and 2. And I'm not going to be using all of the stamps in both sets, but I will be using a whole bunch. And then I will also be using the vine in the foliage set and also the little grass in here. So I'll definitely be using those. So let's get started. First color I'm going to use the Marvy La Plume 45 Sepia. And I'm going to be coloring the wagon here. Go all around here. And then if you want to take off any color to sort of leave room for veggies or whatever, I just take my finger because I don't care if I get inky. And I'm going to just stamp this right down like that. And I'm using the Fiskars Press. Now, if you want to know anything about the basic tools I'm using, I have a basics video that you can check out. It is all about the things that I use for almost every single watercolor that I do. So things like watercolor paper or the brush or types of pens that I like, things like that. Those are all going to be available in that video. So definitely check that out. But you can see what I'm doing is just pulling the color right outside of the lines here. And I'm not being extra careful. I just want to get the color pulled out of those lines. Just keeping in mind too that you want to leave a highlight. So that highlight is really important because it makes things look round or three-dimensional, which is what we want. Now, if I've lost lines, which you can see that I have in here, I can always come back later and add some detail with my detail tip on that Marvy pen. So I know Tombow has detail tips as well. So if you're using Marvys or Tombows, you can definitely come back in with those. Okay, so I'm just going to move around here. And then I'm going to come in with another color. So I'm going to come in with the number 6 Brown by Marvy. And I'm going to color that onto my palette. So this is the Art Impressions Plexiglass palette. And I use this a lot to add color to my pictures. So I want to add some of this terracotta color to my little baskets here. And I'm just going to move in and just add those in. Now I can always blend in more later or add more color later. I'm just concerned with getting the color in for right now. And I can always just detail at the end, because a lot of times you're going to be covering stuff up anyways with vines or flowers or whatever, so you don't need to add in a whole bunch of extra color right at the beginning when it's just going to be covered up. Okay, and if I want to blend in a little more, I can just grab some water and blend that out a teeny bit. Okay, so I want to add another basket over here. So what I'm going to be using actually a lot in this tutorial are little sticky papers. So I want to just measure like what I'm going to need here, which is about there. So I'm going to cut this, and we're going to mask out this wheel. It doesn't need to be perfect because I am going to be blending out that color quite a bit. So I've got this little basket from the set, little veggie cart set. And then I'm just going to stamp this in wherever I please. Take that off. So see, I have a little bit of space in there. It's okay. It doesn't matter because I can have like some greenery coming out or whatever. I'm going to add water to that. Okay, and then I'll sort of pull this color over a little just to make it look like it's extending over. And then once again, we'll add some of that brown in here just to make it look cohesive, like it all belongs together. Now let's start putting in our veggies. I love this part. This is really fun. So I'm going to just start by choosing a basket. I'm going to choose this one on the end. And make sure you know where the edge is here. So maybe I'll just put that corner right on the edge. And then I'm going to take my lettuce first, and I'm going to color that with 15 olive green on the top and 72 pine green there. And I'm going to stamp that in right on top. Okay, and then I want another one in here, so I'm just going to take another sticky, the other half of that, and I could have left that one there, I guess. And then we'll just mask out this little lettuce. But I'm going to take that olive green again, and then the 72 pine, and I'm going to just put that on top, right in there. And I did turn the lettuce on its side so that I could fit a little bit more in here. You can use the lettuce horizontally and just fill it out like this. I wanted something a little bit taller, so I actually just used the side, and that's totally up to you. And now I'm going to mask out my little lettuce and the basket here. And I'm going to do my little apples now. So I'll go ahead and ink these apples, and we'll stamp those right inside. And I want to stamp some more, so I'm going to actually mask this off again. We'll mask this one off, and it's okay that that ink dries really quickly, so you don't have to worry too much about that. And then I'll put in a few more so it looks like it's stacked. Okay, so now I've got some stacked apples in here, I've got some lettuce, and I'm going to want this masked off now, the apples, so that I don't get any other colors into those apples. And now I want to fill in something in here. So let's maybe put our radishes in, and we don't want anything further than about here with those radishes. And I'm going to pull this one down a little. Okay, so I've got all of this space to stamp in my radish. So I'm going to take my radish, put that there. I'm going to color that with the number 6 brown. I'm going to make these kind of a browny red so that there's a little bit of a difference between the apples and the radishes color-wise. And then that was number 28 English red, and then I'm going to add a little bit of the 88 terracotta on top. Okay, and then the 72 pine green will be on the leaves here. So we'll go ahead and stamp those in just like that. Okay, I can take this off, and you can see we're getting somewhere now. And I want to mask, I want to put something behind here, so I'm going to mask off those apples again and mask off the radishes. So I'll grab my grapes. You can also put in more radishes in there, more apples, you can put in another lettuce, whatever you decide. I'm going to do the number 15 olive green on the stem and the leaves. And then I'm going to use number 8 violet on the top of this grape. On the bottom, I'm going to use 86 African Violet by Marby, so that I get kind of a shadowy look in there. And I'm going to just stamp this right in there. So you can see now I have grapes behind, I've got radishes. So now let's put in some of our carrots. So I'm going to mask off once again this section, and then also my grapes that I just stamped in. So we're gonna get that in. Okay, and we'll take our carrots this time. Lots of veggies and fruits here. And we're going to color those carrots the 88 terracotta orange. And I'm also going to put some ochre on here. This is the number 13 ochre. And then I'm going to ink that 15 olive green on the leaves. And I'm going to put a little bit of that ochre into that green as well, so that I get kind of a interesting tone there. And we're just going to make those kind of hang here. And then we'll put in another mask right here. Yeah, about there. And I want to stamp just a few more of these carrots up in there. Okay, so I've got something like this now. Okay. And then let's put in some more grapes. I love the grapes down in there. So we'll put our grapes back on. And you could have done this when you stamped the grapes up here, just to kind of cut down on steps. But I sort of like to decide as I go, because it feels a little bit more organic that way. But it's totally up to you if you want to sort of plan everything out beforehand. You can absolutely do that. And then I'll put on my 15 olive green again. And we'll just kind of have these hang down. And I stamped that twice. So we'll take that off. So now you can see we've got a whole bunch of veggies in here. Now I've got some areas in here that I really want to sort of fill in, and that's when my vine comes in. So that little vine from the foliage set, I'm going to use that to sort of fill in some of those empty spaces. So I'll use the olive green, number 15 again. I love this color. So I'm going to put some of these in just to kind of fill in spaces and all around here. Maybe put a little in here. Maybe some in here too. Okay, so now let's go ahead and add our water. Now if we want to add more later, more veggies or more whatever later, we totally can, but for right now, let's add our water. So I'm going to grab my water here, and I'm going to start with all of my greens. So I'm going to come in and just start dabbing all of these green areas and just sort of start blurring out those lines. And you can see my hand is resting on the table. I'm not poking the image. I'm just dabbing all around to make sure that I'm spreading this color out, okay? And just blur those lines right up in here with the grapes. Okay, and then I'm going to come in now with my red, or my water into my red apples. So anything that's like reddish or orangey, that's what I'm going to start touching now with my water. And keep in mind, these are also objects, right? So we want to leave highlights. So on the tops of those radishes and apples, we want to leave a highlight. Just like that, and then you can come in here with the carrots and put that water in. Okay, and just kind of blend up into there. And then I'm going to come in now with my water into my grapes, and I'm just going to start dabbing. Same thing down in here. And I'm just dabbing, and I'm leaving a lot of white space, right? So I've not colored in absolutely everything. I'm still leaving a lot of white space. All right, so now, whoops, hit my table. So now I'm going to take my vines again, and I'm just going to fill in a little bit more into this area right here where I sort of scribbled out early on. And I just want one more leaf there, I think will do it for me. And I'll just sort of dab in here again. And things don't need to be perfect. They absolutely do not need to be perfect. But I do love to add in some shadows and some extra color right after. So I'll just use my palette again and just start adding some extra little tones in here that I couldn't get from just stamping. Okay, so I'll grab some of that ochre and just sort of dab it right on in. And then same thing with my red. I'm going to grab that English red, put a little bit here, and I'm going to add some into my apples, right into the shadowed areas of those apples, which would be like right where they're touching the basket or where they're stacked right in between each other here. Same thing on the radishes. Just some darker areas just to make it look more circular and round and give it some more depth as well. And then we'll go ahead and add in our cobblestone and our grass now. We'll get my cobblestone on. So just kind of line that up, press it down. And then I'm going to use, once again, my stickies. So I've got my stickies. So then all of this space here is free for the cobblestone. Okay, so we'll take our little cobblestone here and we'll color that with the sepia, 45 sepia. And I'm not going to use the whole thing, I just really want that center area. And we'll stamp this down about there. Doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. And then I can take my stickies off. So I've got something like this. And we'll take our brush again, just like this. So you see the highlights in here, I'm still leaving those. Just gonna come around and pull the color out of the lines. Just like that. And then I want to take my grass from my foliage set. So this one, this little teeny tiny grass. I'm going to use the number 15 olive green again. And come in and just start putting these little clusters of grass in. Right into the cobblestone. And that just kind of makes it look like it's been there a long time. So pull the color out of the lines of your grass. Just like this. And I use a feathering motion on these. You can use a continual stroke that goes up and down like this, or you can use a feather stroke that goes out, lifts up, and comes back. Whatever works for you is just fine. Now I want to show you, because I do have a little spot here. If you get something like this, don't worry about it. Just grab a little bit of water and you can just, for the most part, erase it out. Now, if it's been there a while, which I think mine has, it won't completely come out. But basically you're just erasing out that spot. Now you don't want to go too much because you will sort of rip your paper or make it kind of peel, and you don't want that. So just kind of be careful and keep that in mind. But there is a solution. If you got like a little spot here, you just take a little water and sort of erase it. Okay, so now let's put in our little sign with this little guy. And I'm gonna come in and just sort of pick a spot and mask off the rest. So we'll take our sepia, 45 sepia, and ink that sign And we'll put one here. And we'll do another one back here. And I do angle them sort of different ways as I go down the line so that it sort of draws your eye right back to the center, which is what we want. And then maybe one more here. This one can kind of be hiding a little bit more. And then I'll do one more down by the grapes down in here. So now I have my little signs in, put my fresh produce wording or lettering in here. I'm going to use the Stays On for this. And actually it's going to be easier to do this way. So I'll just take this and just stamp it right into the picture onto the pots or the little baskets. And we'll go there. It doesn't have to be super legible because if it's not, it sort of gives it an older look anyway. Just like that, we'll mask that off. And then we'll come back in because I meant to add water to my little signs here just to kind of blur those lines a little. So I can come in here, add a little water to that. Just like that. And then we'll put in our details now. So this is the time where I'm going to come back in, add any kind of detailing or shadows with my detail tip. So this is the 45 sepia. So this is when I can add things like my lines back into my wheel that I lost. So I can come in here and put these lines right back in. And I do this at the end, like I said, because you know, there might be a flower covering a lot of this, so I don't need to add all that detail back in. But I can see here that I will need to add it into these areas where there are no vines or there are no veggies or flowers to sort of cover that up. So I'm going to add, with my detail tip, the darkness in here. And you can see how that sort of brings it to life. Okay, same thing over here where I want more shadowing. And I'm just going to give these little hash lines in here. And however you want to add shadows, you can totally do that. This is just how I do it. And I'll add something there, maybe a little shadow on the base here. Some in here. And some down in here. So you don't have to be extra cautious or careful about where you're putting those, just kind of get them in. And then you can start adding words to your signs here. So we'll put in grapes, carrots. We'll just say fresh here. Apples. And if you can't fit the whole word, it's totally fine. You get the idea. And then lettuce. There. I may add a little bit of a shadow underneath the cart at this point. Now this is just all extra stuff that you can choose to do or not, but I do sort of like adding a little extra something down in here. It just gives it a little bit more life. So I'll just go to the base of the grass here and underneath the wagon and underneath that basket there. Okay, so you've got something like that. Okay, and then always sign your work because it is a one-of-a-kind piece of art. So there is your veggie cart. Once again, here is the finished one that I did on a card. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe below. Check out my Instagram, Watercolor with Kendra. Right now I'm doing a giveaway. Definitely come check that out. And I hope you enjoyed this once again, and have a great day. Bye!